Yeah. So what are the types of studies? Systemic review and meta-analysis. Basically, that collects all previous studies on one particular topic and statistically combines their results. Then comes randomized control trial. In randomized control trial, we select the population based on just in a random way, and we divide them into groups who receive treatment and another group who just receive a placebo. Quasi experiment is non-randomly assigning groups. Cohort, as we know, it's a prospective study. So we identify the risk of individuals, a group of individuals who are having a risk, and then see what is the outcome. Case control is something which is a retrospective study where we find the cases and then look back into the risk factors and the various etiologies leading to such cases. Cross-sectional is something which is time-based. At one particular point of time, assessing the prevalence of a particular disease in a particular population. And case reports are very short and crisp way of writing any interesting rare cases. So this is how I'll be talking about today. So what do you do before starting So what to do before you start writing a paper? You always have to look back on your research. So have you done something new and interesting? Have you checked the latest results in the field? Have the findings been verified by appropriate analysis and their significance is verified? Are the methods or measurements valid and reliable? Can you describe the scope and limitations of the methods? Is the work directly related to the current hot topic? Have you provided solutions to any difficult problems? If yes, then you should start preparing a manuscript. So what are the types of manuscripts? Full-length methodology research, which are the original articles, letters or short communications, case studies, case reports, review papers. So you need to self-evaluate your work before writing the manuscript, and you should analyze whether it is sufficient for a full article, or if your results are so thrilling that do you have to publish it as soon as possible. So what are the, I mean, you have to think about which journal can you publish in. So you should always consider into the aims and scope, check the journal websites and recent articles. What are the types of articles and how is the readership of that website? What are the current hot topics? Go through the recent abstracts, asking colleagues for advice. But do not gamble by scattering your manuscript to many journals. Submit only once, because this has a various ethical considerations. So you need to submit your article only once and not to various sites. And international ethics standard prohibit multiple submissions, and editors do find out. So for example, this is just a guide for the authors. I've taken it from the Elsevier website. So this is how any website, any journal website have got their own set of guidelines, and they always give like under what subheadings do we have to publish it. So how do we write a quality paper? What is IMRAD and what do you start with? So this is the basic article structure. Like it consists of any article structure will consist of title, abstract, authors, keywords. So all these need to be very accurate and informative for effective indexing and searching. And your main text consists of IMRAD. What is IMRAD? I stands for introduction, M is methods, R is results, and D is discussions and conclusions. So each has a distinct function. And then comes your acknowledgements, references, and supplementary materials. So my main, right now I'll be speaking about methodology, results, discussions, and conclusions, because that will carry the major bulk of your paper. So I'll be first focusing on that. So methodology, it will have the bulk of the study, and it should be sufficient enough to provide appropriate information of how you have gone about in your study, and any reader should be able to reproduce what you have done. So methodology is divided into the following sections. One is population and the methods of sampling. We need to describe a set of population. Suppose for us, it's the antenatal mothers. Instrumentation, we do ultrasonography, and procedures if relevant, and time frame. We can also describe about the procedures what we are going to we are subjecting the antenatal mothers to, and how do we analyze this, and approaches to ensure validity and reliability, any state any assumptions and scope and limitations of the methodology. While writing the results, what are the do's and don'ts? So always use figures and tables to summarize your data. Show the results of statistical analysis. Confirm that the method is reliable. Justify the choice of methods. Define the limitations of the methods. But never duplicate the data among the tables, figures, tests. Like, no need to mention your results again and again in the form of paragraph, also in the form of tabular columns. And do not use too many graphics to illustrate because the data becomes very clumsy. So graphics, figures, and tables are the most effective way to present results, but captions should be able to stand alone such that the figures and tables are very much understandable by any reader. Data represented should be easily be interpreted. Colors should be used only when required. So this is an example that I've taken from Elsevier only. So if you see the table which is below, that consists of so many numbers, and it looks so haphazard. But the figure showing the figure and basically both of them show the same. So you should always mention it in the form of bar graph or pie charts, just to tabulate your results. But if you put too many numbers, it would look so confusing for any person to understand. Coming to the statistics, there are various statistical tests that you can apply on the study, depending upon the study. Of course, any statistician will be helping us on what tests to be applied on what kind of study. So indicate the statistical tests used for relevant parameters like mean and standard deviation. Give numerator and denominators with percentages. Even if you put numbers there, beside that, you should always put percentages for a better understanding of any reader. Use mean and standard deviations to report normally distributed data. Use medians and interpercentile ranges to report skewed data. Always report p-value, because p-value gives a lot of significance for the study we do, and that will describe the statistical significant differences. Coming to the conclusions, it is the most important section of the article. It is where you get the chance to sell your data. Like, a huge number of manuscripts are rejected only because the conclusions and discussion part is weak. For some methodology journals, the discussion and conclusions are lumped into the same section. So basically, what do you do in conclusions? You have to describe what your results mean. Were your methods successful? How did the findings relate to those of the other studies? And what are the strengths and limitations of your study? Here are some tips for the discussions. Make the discussion corresponding to the results, but do not reiterate the results again and again. Do not make very extravagant statements like that that are not supported by methods or results. Like, for example, this is a novel technique of ultrasound which will detect 100% of abnormalities. We all know that it is not possible, but do not make such grand statements. Avoid unspecific expressions such as higher temperature, a lower rate. You always use quantitative descriptions. Speculations on possible interpretations are allowed, but these should be rooted in fact rather than imagination. Compare the published results with your own, but do not ignore work in agreement with yours. Confront it and convince the reader that you are correct and better. So in conclusions, you have to describe how your work advances the field, indicate applications of your work, and suggest future experiments that build on your work, and point out the ongoing experiments which are already in the same field. So you should always avoid playing of negative results, making statements based on personal opinions without any scientific support, repeating the sections again and again, overemphasizing the impact of your study. So now we have covered the methodology, results, conclusions, and discussions part. Coming to the introduction part, this is comparatively a smaller part of the study. So this is basically to provide context for your manuscript and convince readers why your work should be useful in advancing that particular field. So always in the introduction, address the following clearly. What is the problem you are ultimately trying to solve? Are there any solutions? What is the best solution? What is that solution's limitations? What is your work trying to achieve? Outline what was done and achieved in the final. So coming to abstracts, there are various types of abstracts. First is indicative or descriptive abstracts that will outline the topics covered in piece of writing so that reader can decide whether or not to read on. So often used in review articles and conference reports. Indicative abstracts are usually like a big paragraph and it will describe everything in that. Most of the journals follow the informative abstracts, which will summarize the article in a better way, like without mentioning any subheadings. It will still categorize the abstract into problem, methods, case studies, conclusions. All these things will be included in the abstract. And this is a better way of writing an abstract, informative abstracts. And structured abstracts are just follow the headings required by the journal and often use medical journals only. They are structured abstracts are not as informative, I mean, as descriptive as systematic as the informative abstracts. So check carefully which type fits the journal of your choice. But it is always better to go with the informative abstracts. So coming to the title, a good title will have fewest possible words that adequately describe the contents of the paper. Just I'm going through some of the titles, I mean, of the present of the articles that have been published from our institution. Outcomes of pregnancy diagnosed with TRAP sequence prenatally, a single center experience. This was published last year by Pratima Madam and Shailaja Ma'am. So that's a very straightforward statement. Outcome of pregnancy is diagnosed with TRAP sequence prenatally, done in a single center experience. Prediction of fetal anemia and subsequent transfusions. Is there any need to change the threshold of peak systolic velocity of MCA? See, it's just a straightforward statement with very few precise words, but yet meaningful, and it creates interest among the readers to go ahead and study that article. There is another study, mid-trimester measurement of nasal bone length in Indian population. This is done by Pratima Madam and Dr. Narayani et al. So what are the do's and don'ts? So basically, when you're writing a title, always think of, keep these things in mind. Convey the main findings of the research, be specific, concise, complete, and attract the readers. Don'ts are, you should always remove the unnecessary jargon, use of uncommon abbreviations, use ambiguous terms, use of unnecessary detail, focus on part of the content only. So what are keywords? Keywords are like a set of few words that you write just below the abstract, which will help us in indexing, and it'll help us to easily identify, and it'll help us to get the publication more cited. Check the guide for authors for journal requirements. Keywords should be very specific and crisp. Avoid uncommon abbreviations and general terms except established abbreviations like DNA and all that. So there is something called medical subject headings, MESH, from the National Library of Medicine. So they have a set of keywords which are very standardized. So don't use your own keywords for writing any paper. So acknowledgements, acknowledge anyone who has helped you with the study, including the advisors, financial supporters, proofreaders, typists, suppliers who may have given the materials. And tips, always state why people have been acknowledged and and ask their permission before acknowledging. Acknowledge sources of funding, including any grants or reference numbers. So coming to references part, all in the search bar itself, when you search for an article, you have the inverted commas where that will tell about different styles of references, because every journal will have their own way of reference patterns. Like there is a Harvard system or APA system, Vancouver system. All these are various types of reference patterns that the journal will expect you to present in that particular format only. So you can, it's not a very difficult job how to understand, I mean, how to write the references in that particular pattern. If you just click on the inverted commas just below the study in the search bar, you'll get the type of various styles of references that you want to write. So check the guide for authors to ensure the proper format. Make the editor's work easier and they will appreciate the work. So avoid too many references, excessive self-citations, excessive citations from publications from the same region, personal communications, unpublished observations, and submitted manuscripts are not accepted. Citing articles published only in the local language is also should be avoided. And always check the spelling of the author names, punctuations, number of authors to include before using et al, and the reference styling. So supplementary materials, information related to and supportive to the main text, but of secondary importance may be contained in any appendix, which includes extensive statistical analysis. Suppose your Excel sheet that comes under supplementary materials. Supplementary mathematical analysis, additional data, video data, anything that supports your article has to be, that also needs to be sent when you're sending the entire abstract. It will be available online when manuscript is published. So always remember these 3 C's: clarity, conciseness, and correctness. The key is to be as brief and specific as possible without omitting essential details. And always avoid the following traps: repetition, redundancy, ambiguity, exaggeration. So these are common annoyances for any editor. So what do you do when you finish a paper? So after writing a paper, you just have to do the final checks, revise before revisions, revision before submission can prevent early rejection. So what I can do to ensure my paper is best possible state prior to the submission. So you should discuss with your guide to do the final checks before publishing it. And post referee revision, carefully study the reviewer's comments. So once you submit, sometimes the reviewers can send you back the paper with the following corrections. So always read every point by point very carefully and prepare a letter of response. Like suppose if they have given you some question, always try to support, and or else give modify the data and then resend it. So if it, in case if it is rejected, do not take it personally. Just introspect yourself why it has been rejected and suggest strategy for submitting elsewhere. Always submit institutional scientific committee certification along when you are along with the ethical committee certification when you are submitting the final paper. Coming to ethical issues, unethical behavior can earn rejection, and even a ban from can earn rejection, and even ban from publishing into any journal. So what are the various unethical behaviors? Multiple submissions, redundant publications, plagiarism, data fabrication and falsification, improper use of human subjects and animals in research, improper author contribution. So all these usually will be filtered even before you start the study, when you go through the institutional review ethical board meetings. So what is plagiarism? So plagiarism is basically approximation of another person's ideas, processes, results, words without giving them the appropriate credit, including those obtained through confidential review of research of others' research proposals and manuscripts. So you just cannot copy the other person's ideas or their results or their papers. So even while writing every sentence, you should be very careful, because the authors are capable of doing something called plagiarism check. So you should always keep these in mind before submitting the paper. You just can't copy paste everything from the previous articles. So in summary, always look back, think it over before you start writing a paper. Write in a proper way, as I've explained. Make sure that your IMRAD is in a proper place and you use good language. Watch the details. Always follow the guide for authors, which is being given by every journal. Write a cover letter. Covering letter, usually with the help of your guide, you can just write a covering letter, like what is the very brief letter which tells about what is your study about and what were the results that you got and what were the conclusions, limitations, strengths. Check your paper when you finish it. Revise the paper and accept. You should always be in a, like, by before submitting itself, you should always think, if in case if it's rejected, what next, and always behave in an ethical way. So what are the various sites that you can publish, especially in the field of fetal medicine? We all know that we can publish in ISOG, Fetal Medicine Foundation, Fetal Diagnosis and Therapy, Journal of Fetal Medicine, Prenatal Diagnosis, this is the online library relay.com, and perinatology.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maitreyi. I think, thank you, Dr. Lakshman. You've been giving us a few hints as we go along in the chat screen. I've been following it as well.
Yeah.
And Rashmi, just take over, and if you can just kindly introduce us, Dr. Lakshman, to
Yes.
developers
Yes,
and
ma'am.
have more inputs from him. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone.
Maitreyi, just copy down what's there on the chat screen so that people don't miss it. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to join today's class, as I think it's an important topic and a much awaited one. All of us at some point during our fellowship would have come across some interesting case which are worth publishing. However, most of us don't know where to begin and how to go about it. So from today's class, I hope that we will take home with us certain basics of paper writing and research methodology. So Dr. Maitreyi had prepared a presentation on basics of paper writing. And we are very fortunate to have with us Dr. K. Lakshman, who is a consultant GI and laparoscopic surgeon at Sagar Hospitals. I have known Lakshman sir since I was a small girl, as my dad trained for endoscopy under him. He has about 3 decades of surgical experience and has many accolades to his name. The list is just too long. He also takes keen interest in teaching young postgraduates, not just surgery, but he also wants young doctors and students to come forward and do their bit in research and put India on an international platform. He is selfless when it comes to that and is always on board to encourage and motivate students who want to do research. I was fortunate enough to attend one of the best research methodology workshops conducted by his team at Bellary last year. We welcome you, sir. Thank you for joining us on such a short notice today, in spite of your busy schedule. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind words, Rashmi. And Maitreyi, congratulations on a job well done. I think you very succinctly put forward all the important issues that cover the topic of writing a paper. It was a good job indeed.
Thank you.
You can when you record this, the chat box is also recorded. It recorded as a text file, so you can share the recording of the chat box contents with all the participants and other interested people. What I think you can do, people interested in the topic of research and writing papers and the like, you can, I have given you a link, a pCloud link to all the videos that we use in our research workshop. It's a whole gamut of things. I think there are some 10 or 12 videos. You can download them, keep it in your computer and look at it at leisure. And it covers all aspects of research methodology. I would also recommend the website ICMJE Okay, it is the website of the medical journal editors, and you will get a very clear idea of what people expect when you submit a paper. And when you have that idea, the chances of your paper being accepted are very high. Uh, what I thought I would do is give you a 10 or 15-minute presentation on why papers are rejected. And if you know why they're rejected, you can overcome those and you can address those issues when you write a paper. Okay, so I will
Dr.
share
Lakshman, could I
my,
just come in between? We have just got another 4 minutes left, but we have booked
okay,
a second meeting. So can we just get on to the second meeting so that we go uninterrupted?
all right, okay,
We will
we'll do
just
that.
stop and reconvene like within like next 2-3 minutes.
On the same link, or is it the second link that you sent?
No,
Sir, I have
second link.
sent a second link to you, sir, which
Oh, so I
says
should go on to the
final
second link.
second link.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we'll
Yes.
just get
All
on to
right.
the second link, all of us. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.